Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we meet people taking a stand to create a more secure and equitable country. We reach the top of New Hampshire's Mount Washington to see how researchers live and work in extreme conditions. And in New Jersey, we meet a local Girl Scout troop boycotting cookie sales because of a controversial ingredient. But we begin with a new tool to help combat gun violence as it surges across America. AI technology can be paired with surveillance cameras to spot weapons and share a would-be assailant's location. Manuel Bajorcas learns how this could help detect and stop a threat in real time.
Miami's Frost Museum of Science is using artificial intelligence to try to keep visitors safe.
So the AI system monitors all the cameras.
Brooks Weisblatt is VP for technology.
Every tool helps, every second counts, anything that we can do to further protect the community and our visitors and our staff.
The technology works with their existing cameras and has been programmed to spot different types of weapons.
Say my phone were a weapon. The system would immediately alert the entire museum security staff, but also pinpoint my exact location.
They could then determine whether it's a police officer, for instance, or an actual threat. The AI technology is developed by a company called B-Motion. Hussein Abu Hassan is its president.
Airports, schools, they're big places. So is it revolutionary then to have the ability to have AI do it as opposed to human eyes?
Absolutely. You cannot have millions of people watching cameras all over the world. It's almost impossible.
He points to the Nashville school shooting as an example. The company claims this simulation shows the weapon being detected once the shooter got in and during the time the shooter spent near this hallway.
It would have provided the officers the exact location of that shooter.
Similar AI programs like the one from company Zero Eyes are being used in schools, like Florida's Hernando County School District. The goal would be to get police on the way before a single shot is fired.
We can be aware and law enforcement can be responding. Within seconds, we're notified.
The company B-Motion says its system can cost school districts anywhere from $40 to $70 per student per year. Critics of AI say it's not foolproof, but the institutions we spoke with consider it another layer of defense.
We continue the conversation around safety. For years, CBS News has been following the stories of military veterans suffering from cancer and other serious illnesses who served at the same overseas base after 9/11. Now some veterans and their families are fighting for answers about possible toxic exposure there. Catherine Herridge has the details.
He said to me, "My head is about to explode. I can't talk about this. I can't talk about this deployment." And I thought, oh my gosh, what is happening to my husband? I cried.
Kim's husband, Lieutenant Colonel Tim Brooks, was among the first soldiers deployed overseas after 9/11. She says he never showed fear until one day in 2002.
And he said that he had had a briefing, and he says, "I was just told I was exposed to some very bad stuff." And the thing that I remember from that is I heard uranium.
Tim had just returned from Karshi-Khanabad, or K2, a former Soviet military base in Uzbekistan, used by American forces to hunt al-Qaeda terrorists in neighboring Afghanistan. In 2020, a CBS News investigation documented evidence of toxic conditions at the base, including soil saturated with jet fuel and warnings about chemical agents and radiation. After deploying to K2, Tim was diagnosed with an aggressive brain cancer.
It was a battle. It was a battle.
Tim Brooks died in 2004, leaving Kim a single mother of 4.
Was it at that point that you wanted answers?
I never stopped wanting those answers.
It's the color that gets you.
Kim enlisted the help of her daughter, Megan Brooks, a supervising attorney at Yale's Veterans Legal Services Clinic.
I think more than anything, my dad really valued doing what you can to take care of others. And that's sort of how I see my own work.
Exhibit B.
With the help of Megan's team of law students, K2 families sued the Defense Department this month for records about toxic material at the base.
Military doctors told us many others had been affected, that Tim wasn't the only one.
The lawsuit alleges the missing information prevents K2 veterans from obtaining accurate medical diagnoses and adequate treatment plans.
And it is honestly shocking and unconscionable that the requests have just been ignored, bounced around the Department of Defense, not prioritized.
What difference will the records make?
It's the difference between knowing what happened to you and being in the dark.
Military surgeon Gordon Peters was deployed to K2. He says he witnessed the potential health hazards firsthand.
We found this field scattered with enriched uranium, partially enriched uranium, yellow cake. I mean, it was just aerosolized. And we took Geiger counters out there and they lit up.
These images shared with the K2 veteran appear to support Peters' account. Multiple sources say they were told yellow cake was identified at the base, though there is a dispute about its potency.
So this has been known to the Defense Department for 22 years.
Yeah, so,
It's tough to see it.
it actually really is.
Following a spill at a base bunker in 2003, CBS News has learned an environmental team at K2 found traces of hydrogen cyanide, a poisonous chemical agent, though its use was unclear. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, then a commanding general, was briefed on that incident, according to records reviewed by CBS News. Senator Richard Blumenthal has voiced support for the lawsuit and promised to seek accountability.
I will personally take this fight and this issue to Secretary of Defense Austin.
For Kim and Megan, their fight is about countless others.
There are veterans right now, like Mark Jackson, who is in the hospital with his 5th or 6th surgery for an infection that just will not go away, and they don't know the cause of it. We need answers. Our veterans need answers now.
Coming up, we take you to the highest peak in the Northeast for vital climate research. This is Eye on America. Bundle up as we now journey to New Hampshire's Mount Washington, known for the world's worst weather. Researchers collect data year-round in sub-zero temperatures and extreme conditions. Nancy Chin traveled with the scientists working to understand climate change by studying weather.
Mount Washington, not a place you want to be. And the air temperatures could smash records.
Our journey to some of the most extreme weather on Earth started at Mount Washington's base in New Hampshire.
This is what we're taking all the way to the top.
As we jumped aboard a snowcat to climb more than 6,200 feet up, New England's tallest peak.
On a bad day, just stretch through here can be very tough.
How fast can you go in this?
7, 8 miles an hour.
Ooh, that's a lot of wind.
Oh, that's not bad.
We're traveling with a team of researchers as they change shifts. Crews rotate spending the week at the summit's observatory.
There definitely are other places on the planet that experience weather like this, but no one's there.
Jay Broccolo is the director of weather operations for the observatory, a nonprofit dedicated to understanding weather and climate.
So you feel like you're experiencing weather history?
Oh, absolutely.
And being a part of history happens often. In February, the wind chill here plunged to a record 109 degrees below zero.
Long time no see.
Something to look forward to as we finally reach the summit 2.5 bumpy hours later.
All right, made it to the top. Now the adventure really begins.
Mount Washington's latitude, height, and atmosphere make it uniquely prone to extreme weather, which is why observers collect measurements day and night, 365 days a year.
We have our max.
Weather observer Hayden Pearson showed us how.
So when we go outside for the observations, we take what's called a sling psychrometer, which we keep in this heated little box right here, and it has 2 thermometers on it.
Despite advances in technology, it's the same instrument they've been using for 90 years to ensure consistent and accurate record keeping. Researchers head out every hour on the hour to track temperature and humidity. On this day, the wind chill was 22 below zero.
How cold does it have to be that you say, I'm not going out there?
I don't think there is a too cold.
So no limit, you are out here doing this.
Every day, every hour.
Observers also record wind speed on instruments that feed to the National Weather Service.
So when you're up here, you can see 5 states, 2 countries, and 1 ocean.
Not too shabby.
Not too bad for an office view.
So very large area of low pressure developing.
From the highest point at the peak, we could also see tomorrow's weather.
That's the actual storm front that's working its way in from the southeast.
So that's the storm right there.
That is the storm, yes.
Just 12 hours later, a different scene.
This is what it looks like after a snowstorm came in overnight. Visibility right now is 0 because we are in the cloud dropping snow on the land below.
So you're in what's producing the weather as well, which is pretty neat. It's kind of like storm chasing, but instead of chasing it, we wait for it to come to us.
The information they collect and immediately log helps shape forecasts nationwide.
Increasing to 35.
Building on the work of generations that came before, the observatory maintains what is now one of North America's longest continuous climate records.
There are stations that collect information like you do, but they're without humans, without people doing something with it. It's not the same kind of research.
Yeah, there's not people there, so a lot of times they'll take that data and just assume it's right because the instrumentation said that's what it is.
So there's nothing quite like the human touch.
Yeah, exactly.
That accurate research matters in understanding climate change.
Climate is made up of daily weather patterns, and those daily weather patterns slowly change over time, and that's what makes up our climate. And here, we get to see it, we get to live in it, and we get to see what happens after the fact.
Are you able to see climate change here?
Yeah, we can. We've noted a slight increase in temperature up on the summit. We've seen shorter snow seasons. The melting out of snow is occurring a little bit earlier. How we grow food for people, how we supply water, how we clean water.
Sure.
It all matters. It all ends up, back to weather patterns.
12 to 18 inches of snow.
Which is why researchers and volunteers continue to staff the observatory.
So you guys work together and you all bunk together too.
Yeah, we spread out when we can.
They sleep, cook, and eat together before unwinding at the end of the day.
There's another toadette in this race.
Ultimately, up in the clouds, Brocklow says the observatory is a family.
Everyone's here to do the same purpose. They want to be a part of the history. There's so many hardy souls that have spent time of their life on the summit. And being part of that is really meaningful and fulfilling. We do feel very proud of what we do, and that goes a long way.
From the sweeping views from a mountaintop to expansive rolling farmland, only 1.4% of U.S. farmers identify as Black, a significant drop from the past century. Skylar Henry takes us to a co-op in Maryland, hoping to plant a seed of agricultural interest in the next generation of Black farmers.
This group of ladies may be small.
Sisters are all for one and one for all.
But they run this large 4-acre farm just outside of Washington, D.C., where crops are coming, and more importantly for the group, so are an abundance of seeds.
What happened was people stopped saving seeds, and every year the price of seeds go up, and every year it's harder and harder to get the seeds you want.
Bonita Adib runs the Ujamaa Cooperative Farming Alliance under the nonprofit STEAM Onward, bringing together Black and Indigenous farmers in and around Maryland, and the initiative has gained national recognition.
We love watermelon, we love okra, we love sorghum, all those things that are important to our ancestors. That's what we love, and that's what we grow.
Across the nation, less than 1% of farms are Black-owned, which limits minorities' access to the $15 billion seed-growing industry. Adib rolled up her sleeves once she and her team recognized the need to promote minority representation in the agriculture space. They also address what she says is a lack of access to natural, unfertilized food. Ujama's progress is growing dividends. Their online seed catalog doubled in the last year and contains just about every seed you can think of, from squash to corn to quinoa. It's all there. The work is building a network of farmers with a range of experience.
What's your biggest takeaway from doing this work?
It's a sense of community, sense of seeing how others are working in their community, and there are thousands and thousands of us out there. And the only way we can beat any type of obstacle is to work together and work through it.
Bridging a gap of culture and connecting a new generation of growers.
Ahead, a Girl Scout troop refusing to sell cookies over a controversial ingredient. That story is next. We close our show with a closer look to an annual treat. The Girl Scouts sell about 200 million boxes of cookies every year. But one troop in New Jersey hasn't sold a single package in years because of one ingredient, palm oil. I recently met up with the girls behind this movement to examine the issues they've been raising.
On my honor, I will try.
In the basement of this Jersey City nursing home, Girl Scout Troop 12026 is in community service mode.
Finish your last card, start cleaning up.
Making cards for residents while brainstorming alternatives to the big fundraiser they ditched.
Get your Girl Scout cookies here.
The perennial Girl Scout cookie sale.
Who here misses selling cookies?
I miss selling them, but it's for a good cause.
Troop leader Gina Vertibello sold cookies with her scouts for a decade until 2021, when a story in her local newspaper changed everything.
There was an article on Olivia Chafin. She's a Girl Scout in Tennessee. She has a petition out to get rid of the palm oil in cookies. I thought to myself, well, let me look more into it before I bring it to the girls, because I don't want to, I don't know what troops there are. Let me do my research.
That research led to a 2020 Associated Press investigation of the $106 billion palm oil industry, an industry the AP linked to severe tropical deforestation and exploitative child labor practices.
You see whole families out there harvesting the palm oil because they have to reach certain quotas every day. And so a lot of times kids won't be in school. They'll be out helping their parents reach those quotas.
Ginger Cassidy has been on the ground with the Rainforest Action Network, a nonprofit she leads committed to protecting the environment. How old are these children?
We've seen kids out there the age of 6.
About the same age American girls can take the Girl Scout oath and contribute to the annual sale of $800 million worth of cookies, treats that likely contain unsustainable palm oil. The ingredient label says as much. That certification seal verifies that palm oil produced through ethical standards is actually mixed with oils that may not be. And the industry reports only a fifth of global palm oil meets the sustainability standard.
I said, listen, I need you to make the decision. If you think it's best not to sell, then we won't sell. But if we don't sell, you might not sell again.
I think we all knew that it was for the greater good that we all stopped.
Girl Scouts Leslie Lewis, Iris Vertibello, and Trixie Goodall, along with their 11 other troop members, wrote the Girl Scouts of America demanding an ingredient change. Their response? A form letter via email. How do you take their response?
It makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like something that we've worked so hard for, which is the Girl Scouts, just for them to ignore it.
Yeah, like they don't care.
You feel ignored.
And
Yes.
disappointed.
Yeah.
And people who are supposed to, we're supposed to make the world a better place, but we're not.
The Girl Scouts of America says it's trying to find an alternative to palm oil, but currently there's nothing available on the market. The organization declined our request for an interview, releasing this statement saying in part, child labor has no place in the production of Girl Scout cookies. If certain suppliers are not following best practices, we expect the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, of which the Girl Scouts is an affiliate member, to take action quickly. The RSPO is one of the trade organizations in charge of industry certification standards.
Right now, only about 2% of globally traded palm oil is under the RSPO label.
Just 2%.
Exactly.
That group also declined our interview requests, but said in an email, "We applaud Girl Scouts troops for drawing attention to some of the issues associated with unsustainable palm oil production. As for claims of child labor, the RSPO didn't deny the problem, but said while it can impose appropriate sanctions, it's not a policing organization." It added that it's setting the strictest certification standards currently applicable to the palm oil industry.
Unfortunately, they can't be trusted because we've still been able to find connections with RSPO certified palm oil that's still connected to tropical deforestation and egregious labor practices. So it's really up to all of us, including the Girl Scouts, to apply pressure to the RSPO and the companies that are supplying this palm oil that is still not sustainably sourced.
Bigger eyes are watching too. The United Nations, for one, through its International Labor Organization.
I do think it is important to understand that in global supply chains that you have a rather complex network of suppliers.
Kevin Cassidy leads the U.S. division.
There's always clever ways that people find around this, but I think what's really quite important is that if the legislation is in place, if the enforcement is in place, and the access to justice is in place, then those issues can be addressed more firmly.
As for that troop of Jersey girls,
let's get started.
They're taking the bitter without their sweet.
We still like Girl Scouts. It's not that we don't like Girl Scouts. We do. We like, our meetings and doing the things that we do, like the service projects. But, the cookies right now are just either on hold or never.
So there are hundreds of products with palm oil in it. The Girl Scouts cookie sale is a drop in the bucket. Why are you so focused on that?
Because if we change, then it proves that the other companies can change too.
Yeah, and plus, we're Girl Scouts and we want to make the world a better place and use resources wisely. So the fact that we aren't using our resources wisely is kind of like, then what's the whole point of this?
Every Girl Scout.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.